YouTube. What a frustrating morning. Okay, first of all, I wanted to make a video today about Washington, D.C., and I want to say congratulations, Washington, D.C. What an amazing day for you guys. As you know, or maybe you don't know, Washington, D.C. approved gay marriage, and it's basically, you know, it's the capital of the United States. It's where all of our, our laws are made, and our politicians talk to each other, and it's basically the hub of American politics. And now that's a very important city in our country has gay marriage, and I can't be more happy than that. But being happy, I'm kind of conflicted. Being happy about Washington, D.C. having marriage, you know, it brings up another issue for me, which I think is almost a more important issue, and it's Catholic Charities in Washington, D.C. threatening to basically take away services from the poor, to stop helping with adoption and foster care, to basically, you know, strip away all of their resources from the poor and needy people of Washington, D.C. And as a Catholic, I was raised Catholic, and as you guys know here on YouTube, that me and Brian are both consider ourselves Christians. Even though we consider that a very generic term of what it means to be Christian, because I don't think a lot of people who claim to be Christian today act like true Christians. So this is something that me and Brian actually had an argument about today, about me making this video. And I just want to say I am ashamed to be Catholic. I'm ashamed that my father was Catholic, and I am ashamed to come from a place that I learned so much about God and Jesus. And, you know, to be, you know, I am ashamed of Catholic Charities. I'm ashamed of the Catholic Church when it comes to this. They're so willing to fight gay marriage that they're willing to hurt poor people. And that just really bothers me. So I'm going to show you a few clips that I think are really important, and it shows this is the leader of Catholic Charities in the D.C. area. And I think it gives a really good perspective on what's important to the churches, you know, today in America. I mean, that, you know, gay marriage is more important than taking care of the poor and the needy. And I think it's pretty eye-opening.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. I am Edward Orzechowski, President and CEO of Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Washington, the largest provider of social services here in the Washington region. This past year, serving 124,000 men, women, and children who turn to us every day for shelter, food, adoption, foster care, counseling, employment services, medical and dental care, legal assistance, emergency assistance, and the list goes on. Of those 124,000 people, 68,000 plus were district residents. And we're on the front lines every day, serving and knowing firsthand the needs of many people. For example, Catholic Charities shelters more than 30% of the homeless population in the District of Columbia. And I'm here today because this legislation could seriously endanger our ability to continue to provide services to thousands of people in the District of Columbia without adequate religious liberty protection.
Foster care be affected by a marriage bill?
We would not place children with same-sex couples through our health care, for example. We will not provide employee spousal benefits in terms of same-sex unions.
The majority of your funds are public funds. They come from either the federal government or the state and local governments that you serve. You know, I don't want to put on the record your salary, but it is a substantial salary. You understand why it would be offensive to district residents who pay taxes, who in fact support your salary.
And that's where obviously there's a difference.
That's not the question that, in all fairness, I ask, because, you know, we have the odd situation of me being the most successful lobbyer of funds for Catholic Charities of any member on this dais. You're aware of that, right?
Yes. Well, I'm not sure of that, but I do know you've been a good advocate and a good friend. Yes.
The Pharmaceutical Resource Center, yes, and many other things. There's not another member on this council that has ever line itemed money to you. Isn't that not correct?
That's correct, to my knowledge.
And so it's to paint me as somehow objecting to Catholic Charities, I mean, the evidence is to the contrary. I understand the good work you do, and we've tried to navigate a respect for your work, and also because you've always assured me that you respect the entire community and you serve everyone equally, correct?
That's correct.
Also, I have to tell you, I become somewhat offended as I try to reconcile this, and I'm told that you're just going to take your ball and go home if you don't get your way with respect to adoptions. This is something that I've heard repeatedly. Last year, Mr. Orzechowski, there were 112 ward adoptions completed in the District of Columbia. Do you know how many Catholic Charities provided case management support for out of the 102?
Offhand, I do not know
Six.
last year's figures.
Six of 102.
That does not include the private adoptions that we also
Does not include
facilitate.
private adoptions, but we're talking about the public adoptions for which you're threatening to withhold if you're not allowed to essentially discriminate in a way that is consistent with your beliefs. I am trying to reconcile and give the benefit of the doubt on behalf of religious freedom, and I'm open to the suggestions to make this a more palatable law. But you have to understand I'm doing that in the face of what I find to be very offensive conduct. I find it offensive that this is not your private solemnization of weddings or solemnizations of services. It's when you enter the public square and you ask for public money to provide services, and then when it comes to your employees, you don't want to provide equal benefits to equally married people, or you don't want to place children in the parts of the community that are also funding you. I just find it very hard to swallow. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'm still going to continue the commitment that I've made to try to find a good compromise out of an abundance of respect for the work of Catholic Charities. Chairman, I will leave it with this. I would like to see the mission statement of Catholic Charities broadened, to be very honest, because the last line is what I struggle with. It says, "We serve those in need without regard for race, religion, or national origin." But what is missing is sexual orientation. So what you're asking is to be able to discriminate based on your employment practices, but you receive public funds and assure me that you serve everyone equally. But that's not really reflected in your mission statement. That would be a goodwill gesture on your part in reciprocity to what I'm trying to do to respect your religious freedoms as it relates to your employment practice.
I know that makes you as sick as it makes me, because when I watch that guy sitting there talking about what they're willing to do to the poor and the needy of Washington, D.C. because of gay marriage, even though in that bill that just passed, there's protections for religious organizations and churches that protect those preachers and those people who don't want to acknowledge or deal with gay marriage. Those protections are built into that law they just passed. These people are willing to take away support for the poor and the needy in the Washington, D.C. area. That is not Christian, and I'm ashamed of that. As I said, I was raised Catholic, and I think sometimes we as gay people hear all the negative stuff that comes out of the Bible and all the negative stuff that is preached to us from these conservative preachers, and we think that, you know, we have no place in religion. And I'm sorry to all my atheists and my, you know, agnostic and you know, people who watch our videos, and this, you know, if you want to turn off the video, please do. But for all those people out there who are spiritual, that understand that the Bible and that God's words, you know, are being taken out of context and they're not being used appropriately. I'm going to read my favorite passage from the Bible, and it's one that whenever I get really down on religion and whenever I feel like there's no place for me in God's heart or religion, I always go back to this passage, and it's in the book of Matthew. And you know, it's to me what the core belief system of religion should be. You know, this is why religion is here. It's what it should be doing. And so I'd like to read it to you. Inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me. For I was hungered, and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in. Naked, and ye clothed me not. Sick, and in prison, and you visited me not. And I think that's a good way that I look at the Bible. I look at the Bible as a guide of rules for the way we are supposed to treat each other. And I think if there's anything that came out of Jesus' and God's words, whether you believe that or not, is we as human beings need to understand that life's not all about us. It's about us as a community. It's about us as a people, us as family, as brothers. It's just being part of the human race. And I think it's important that, you know, when Catholic Charities makes that type of a stand, they're not following the Bible. They're following a political agenda, and they're not following the book. And, you know, I mean, there's another passage in here which I think is perfect for this, and it's perfect for Catholic Charities, and it's from Psalms. It's 82:3, and it goes, "Defend the poor and the fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and the needy, deliver the poor and the needy, rid them out of the hand." And I love that. Defend the poor and the fatherless. You know, if Catholic Charities is not defending the poor and the fatherless, they have no place anywhere in Washington, D.C. Whether it's preaching to people who are homophobic, whether it's, you know, they have lost God's words. They have lost the whole purpose of this Bible. You know, and I guess to end this video, because I've rambled a lot, and, you know, me and Brian argue about this constantly, and he, you know, any straight Catholic out there in the Washington, D.C. area, if you don't understand what's going on with Catholic Charities in the Catholic Church, you could be completely against gay marriage. And if you don't understand that this is wrong, to threaten the poor and people who need your help, then I don't know what to say. I mean, I think that you need to wake up and you need to start holding your religious leaders responsible. You know, I mean, it's time that you say enough is enough. We can be morally against gay marriage, but when it comes to the Catholic Charities threatening to hurt those who need God's help the most, you all should be speaking up. And on that note, I guess I'll say goodbye for now. I'm going to go finish my argument with Brian about religious stuff. And it's a good thing we don't make one of those videos, because you guys would probably
Yay
tear us
for me.
apart.
Guess you know how good my day is going to be, YouTube.
Okay, YouTube.
Bye.
Take care.